Let's dive into the raise first in statistic, or RFI, with some filters and analysis in PokerTracker 4. Please follow along in your own program. Now, in order to use any statistic to analyze your own play and to analyze your opponents so that you can exploit them, you have to know the definition and the formula. Configure menu, statistics, type in here raise, scroll on down to raise first in. Once you click on it, detailed description, percentage of the time that a player opened the pot by raising, that means it was folded to them, given that he had the chance to do so. The formula, the number of the times a player raised first in divided by the number of times a player could raise first in. You have to understand these in order to use the stat. Write them in your poker journal. Try to wrap your mind around them. Now, raise first in is part of a broader category of two-betting pre-flop. Other types of two-bets are iso-raising, so you're raising after players limp. Attempt to steal, which is the same as raise first in. It's just done in the steal positions, the cutoff, the button, and the small blind. And a couple other key stats, 2-bet and then fold to a 3-bet, 2-bet and then call the 3-bet as well. So if we look at my own raise first in statistics, as a total, 22% of the time. 12% in the EP, 18% rounded up in the MP. You can see I am positionally aware. As position gets later, I'm raising first in more. 21% cutoff, 35% button, and a little bit more, 1% higher in the small blind because I really like tackling some big blind players. Now, when it comes to isolating limpers, I love getting those fish all to myself, but I'm isolating just a little bit over half as often as I raise first in. And the reason why is because when players limp, they signal that they're a fish. I want to play against them, but I also understand that limpers want to see a flop. They're more likely to call my raise. So I don't use my full raise first in range when I am isolating limpers. I generally restrict it to better hands that I'm happy seeing the flop versus that limper. Now here's the attempt to steal stats, and you can see the percentage are the exact same across the positions. Because, like I said, attempt to steal is just raising first in the steal spots right here. Altogether, I'm stealing 29% of the time. And then 2-bet and then fold to a 3-bet where you have right here 69%. So almost 2 out of 3 times I'm folding. Calling the 3-bet, only 14%. The difference between these two, another 18% or so, that's when I'm 4-betting. Now, when I look at my numbers right here, I don't see anything that stands out as a huge leak to me. I'm positionally aware, raising first in. Same thing with raising limpers over here. Now, a lot of coaches would tell you I am folding too much. I need to defend more often. There should be like a minimum defense frequency I should reach. But we'll run some filters in a little bit, and we'll see how I'm decently profitable when facing 3-bets. Of course, I could 4-bet bluff more often. I could call more often. And facing 3-bets, that's always a good area of focus for most players to jump into. Let's start with the raise first in filter. More filters, actions and opportunities, pre-flop raises, and we have it right here. Turn it on, add it to filter, save and apply filters. You can see I have it saved as the RFI quick filter. So out of the roughly 5,000 hands played, 563 hands come back from this, nicely positive. Now you want to take a look at your positional win rates right here. Everything's positive for me when I'm raising first in. Really like seeing this. And of course, I would like to see something higher on the button, right? Cutoff, 462 big blinds. That means on average, every time out of these 120 hands I raised first in, I earned 4.615 big blinds. Pretty good spot, nice profitability right here. But if you see any spots that are negative, and of course highly negative, you want to dive into those positional negative win rates. Also, you can sort it by your currency one or even your big blinds one and start looking at big wins and big losses, reviewing some potentially questionable bet fold hand on an ace-deuce-6 kind of stuff. And because you raised first in, you have the opportunity to c-bet most of the time, but you might come across a lot of checks on multiple streets. Let's sort it by action right here. Okay, we have quite a few checks, at least on turn and river. You can scroll on down and just look through the different action. Flop action right here, lots of check, finally bet on the river, won those hands. But take a look at hands where you just didn't make the c-bet, but with the ace-jack on the deuce-9-10, yeah, I could have made the c-bet. Why didn't I right here? The idea through going through these hands is to find your mistakes so that you can work to not repeat them through study and then focused play with the strategies you learned during your study sessions. So that was raise first in. Let's take a look at the opportunity to raise limpers, and you actually did raise those limpers. More filters, clear that, add filter, actions and opportunities, pre-flop, scroll on down to pre-flop opportunities. opportunity to raise limpers. Add it to filter. Let's add one more filter. Pre-flop raises, any 2-bet. We have limpers, we made the 2-bet, we ISO raised. I saved this as raised over limpers. So I did it 50 times, nicely profitable on average every time. But once again, take a look at those positions where you may have lost some money. These aren't big losses, but there's probably a good chance, especially in the big blind right here, I can take a look at it, sort it by money won, and then review at least all of these losing hands. Figure out what I did wrong. Maybe my pre-flop ISO raise size was bad. Maybe I chose a bad opportunity, a bad limper to target. Now, earlier you saw that I am ISO raising about half as often as I raise first in. So let's run a final filter, opportunity to raise limpers, but we did not raise them. More filters, we already have this in, just highlight the 2-bet, not. Save and apply, so we can see all the different hands where, holy cow, 326 times I could have raised, but I didn't. You can start going through these by looking at the hands where you called instead of raised, maybe the strength of the hand and the position as well. Let's take a look on the button right here. If we sort it by pre-flop action, okay, only 4 times I called instead of raised first in. 7s could have easily been an ISO raise. 3s also an ISO raise. Jack 10, I would actually prefer ISO raising. Just looking at the hand strength, not knowing who the limpers are, not knowing who's in the blinds either. I would much rather ISO raise than call with this kind of hand. And the King 8 suited, oh, that could have easily been an ISO raise. Now, when it comes to looking at your hand strength, let's sort it by hole cards. Actually, let's look at all the hands at once right here. Okay, an ace-jack on the button could have easily been, instead of folding versus a limper, but there's a good chance that this is actually maybe like a very short-stacked limper. Oh, only 20. This is still worthy of ISO raising right here. So go through just based on hand strength. King-queen out of the MP, that could have been an ISO raise as well. King 10 in the big blind, maybe not. And of course, you can just go through all of the positions as well. The idea behind this is you're trying to find hands where you coulda, you shoulda, you would've ISO raised had you thought about it a little bit more. Let's do some range practice. You could do this kind of work with your own ranges, as you're about to see me do, or your opponent's ranges to get an idea of what they raise first in with by position. So let's take a look here. Raise first in, 35% on the button. Let's go ahead and build the range that I think I raise first in to match that percentage. All the offsuit aces, I might not go down as far as those right there. I'll hit this one, probably those two. We're at 37. Let's remove some of the weakest offsuit hands. Boom, we're at 35%. This is a solid range to raise first in with on the button. But now let's compare this to the hands I've actually raised first in. We go to Summary, Holdem Hand Range Visualizer, turn on Raise First In and on the button. And then compare the hands that you've raised first in, all of the green colored hands, and then your range over here. And you can see I'm outside of it with a King 7 and a Jack 9 off. 10-9 off as well, 9-8, 8-7, 7-6. But some hands are missing, right? Queen Jack and King 10, Ace 5 and Ace Deuce. In this small sample size of 5,000 hands, I probably just didn't have the opportunity to raise first in on the button with these hands in particular. But then plenty of hands way outside of my ranges over here. Visualizing ranges and starting with your own, that's a really helpful way to train yourself to think about ranges for your opponents. So when you pop open their HUD and you see 35% in the cutoff, whoa, that's a very aggressive player, open raising way more hands than you do. You could probably target that player with a lot of 3-bets, right? And while you're here, any hands that really look, holy cow, I can't believe I'm playing that, 10-4, Jack 3 suited, pop it open, review that hand, see if you did anything wrong by playing it. And I recommend after you do the work on the button, do it across all the other positions for raise first in as well. This is really good range training. You've heard me say that 3-bets are the bane of 2-bets, so let's analyze some of those hands. Now, generally, I like to use the 2-bet and then the opportunity to 4-bet filter. You could, instead of the broader category of 2-bet, you could do a raise first in filter and then an ISO raise filter along with the opportunity to 4-bet that I'm showing you. But let's start this process going a little bit wider with the total 2-bet category. Actions and opportunities, pre-flop, scroll down to pre-flop raises, and then you made any 2-bet right here. Add back to the filter, pre-flop, pre-flop opportunities, 4-bet opportunity. That means you're facing the 3-bet. Save and apply. 2bet/face 3bet is the quick filter name. So you can see 134 times. I'm positive when I'm facing those 3 bets, and 23 big blinds per 100 hands win rate. Now, once again, look positionally, find hands that you want to review, see if you made any mistakes in these plays. Now, I don't like my losses on the button right here because I have the best position. I should be able to make very good defensive plays versus the 3 bets, whether I'm calling or I'm 4-betting. Or if I decide to call, I should be able to use my position post-flop to exploit my 3-betting opponent. So it's a really good idea. Any negative position, just go through, sort it by currency one, and review all of your biggest losses. Like for me, I'd probably review all of these hands right here, from the top down to there. Now, this is the broader category of just facing a 3-bet after 2-betting. You could see we have all the different pre-flop actions down here. But let's get granular. Let's take a look at where we 2-bet and then folded to the 3-bet. More filters, delete that one, keep the 2-bet, add filter, actions and opportunities. Pre-flop, we've got a fold on our hands, we folded to the 3-bet. Save and apply filters. 92 times folding to the 3-bet, negative $26 rounding up, negative 270 big blinds per 100 hands. Once again, go through these, look at questionable hands. Could you have repopped it with ace-9 suited? Could you have just called with your king-10 and then taken it post-flop and exploited him? You're only going to find your mistakes when it comes to 3-bet defense if you go through and just start analyzing anything kind of questionable, hand strength, and buy position as well. And as you're going through the hands, ask yourself, oh, should I have called? Should I have 4-bet? Same thing, 2-bet and then call 3-bet hands. More filters, add filter, actions and opportunities, pre-flop calls, we call the 3-bet. Lovely positive win rate. And go through and just review your losing hands again. Find those mistakes so you can study and then do some focused play with those strategies to avoid those mistakes in the future. 2-bet and then 4-bet. More filters, add filter, actions and opportunities, pre-flop raises, the 4-bet. We 2-bet, we 4-bet, save and apply. Oh, nicely profitable. On average, every time, positive 10 big blinds each time I make that 4-bet. And right here, when you're 4-betting, if you actually go through this filter and you see a very small number, maybe just 5, you're probably doing all your 4-bets with only, let's see if we have some pretty good hands here, 4-betting. Okay, pocket aces, maybe some pocket kings too. But you can see I am making 4-bet bluffs with some suited aces, a queen-9 suited even right here. So I'm at least attempting 4-bet bluffs, but it would be a really good idea, especially all the big losing hands. I need to be going through them right here and figuring out what I'm doing wrong. And then ask yourself, hey, should I have called? Should I have folded instead? And saved a lot of chips with my 4-bet. If you're enjoying this free PokerTracker 4 training, you need to get your free 17-page PokerTracker 4 study guide. Get it right now. Don't delay. smartpokerstudy.com/PT4study. Enter your name, your email, click the I want the PT4 study guide, and you'll find it in your inbox. So when you raise first in or you ISO raise, you're going to be the one with the opportunity to c-bet post-flop. So let's run that raise first in filter, and let's review my c-bet stats and see where I'm honest. Clear filters, and actually we have this as a quick filter, so we're just going to run the quick filter, raise first in. You saw how to build that earlier. So when I'm raising first in, nicely profitable, positive 183 big blinds per 100 hands. But if you scroll over to my c-bet, okay, as a total, 81% on the flop, 65% on the turn. Slightly turn honest. I wouldn't want to see that big of a drop. It'd be better if that were closer to 70%. It's not so bad right here. Like a drop like this, 7% drop is much better than that 15% drop. But positionally, look at this, 91% on the flop to 62% on the turn. Huge drop out of the small blind, actually, 69 to 74. Cool. I'm a barreler when I'm out of 83 on the river. I'm a barreler when I'm out of position, right? Versus that big blind player. Some more honesty right here out of the cutoff, 83 to 64% as well. So it looks like I'm more turn honest than on any other street. Now that we know where I'm honest, let's add a filter for barreling opportunities I skipped on that honest street. So we know that I c-bet the flop quite a bit. Add filter, actions and opportunities, flop bets, turn on c-bet. So I raise first in, I c-bet the flop, but on the turn, that's my honest street. So on the turn, checked turn instead. Add to filter. If you were river honest, I would have you add the cbet flop and the cbet turn filter, and then the honest street you did not cbet. So you checked. Save and apply filters. Okay, so 35 hands for me to review. I would recommend go through all of these hands. Find missed positive EV barreling opportunities. And you can see all of these have a B under flop and then the X, I checked, on the turn. Go through and review all these, the winning and the losing hands. It's only 35 hands, because there's a good chance I've been missing barreling for value opportunities and bluff barreling opportunities as well. And if you're looking at a larger sample, maybe break it up by in position or not in position. For example, more filters, add filter hand details player position. On the flop, I am in position. Add it to filter. You can see altogether this is 35 hands, but when I'm in position, okay, in position is 26 hands. If we highlight and now hit not, it's going to be 9 hands to total up to the total of 35 hands. And when you break it up this way, by relative position, you might actually find some more patterns. Maybe you're more honest from out of position. And that'll help you dive further into your own game, analyzing your raise first in and c-betting decisions. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please like the video if you like the video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.